Hi, this is a presentation of our paper titled The Dimensions of Data Labor, a roadmap for researchers, activists, and policymakers to empower data producers, co-authored with Vincent, Stevie, Chancellor, and Brent, Hecht. A sneak preview of our paper, we argue that we're all moonlighting as data workers, most of the times for free, and we looked for ways to empower these workers. With the emergence of generative models, it became apparent how data traces we left on the web became the foundation of intention technologies. For example, academic publications, Wikipedia articles, and public art images, they all played an important role in the training of these models like ChatGPT, DALL-E, and Stable Diffusion. But this is not new. Many technologies we have used for years and sometimes decades, from search engines to recommender systems to social platforms, are all dependent on the time, data, and knowledge that their data producers contribute. But data producers are not always happy about this collaboration with companies. We often do not have a say about how our data is being used and what output technologies build. A prominent example here again is a wave of lawsuits against companies that are using content creators' work without their consent to develop generative models. This type of public outcries have also happened to social media platforms, targeted advertising, and data brokers. So the problem becomes clear. While we seek to mitigate many problems imposed by these massive data-driven technologies like safety and fairness, we should not be distracted from the erosion of agency at the data production side, the lack of voice and control over AI and other data-driven technologies by data producers. So we asked, how to improve data producers' agency so they can meaningfully affect data-driven technologies? Or more broadly, how to empower data producers in their relationship with tech companies? In this work, we built on prior calls for a new producer-oriented paradigm shift to increase the voice of data producers, understanding data production as a form of labor, or data labor. By adopting this labor lens, we can look into literature on various types of other human labor activities and develop a roadmap to address this power imbalance between producers and companies. To put data labor into concrete terms, we offered a working definition: activities that produce digital records useful for capital generation. Some examples include social media posts, blogs, news articles that help websites to gain advertising and also train models, published artwork that are used to train generative AI art models, content moderation that produced datasets for online harm detection, and last but not least, personal preferences that powered recommender systems and targeted advertising. Our definition is built upon prior concepts and knowledge about computer-mediated labor, digital labor, crowdsourcing, and data work. Those that study computer-mediated labor and digital labor have long been drawing attention to how computing systems are powered by humans. Now, by looking into parallels between data labor and these other type of activities mentioned earlier, we constructed a taxonomy with 6 key dimensions, and more importantly, we outlined how these 6 key dimensions inform ways to empower different types of data producers. Given the time limit, I'm going to go through 2 of these dimensions, and for more details, definitely check out our paper. So for the legibility dimension, we asked, do data laborers know that their labor is being captured? On the left, we have illegible data labor, like generating user interaction logs and labeling images in reCAPTCHA. People often are not aware that their activities are being recorded. On the other end of the spectrum, we have providing ratings, legible data labor, including providing ratings and content to user-generated content platforms and completing image labeling tasks on Amazon Mechanical Turk. People can directly see the data they generate from these situations on their user interface. Now, thinking along how to empower data producers that are mapped onto this spectrum. Naturally, if one doesn't have any awareness of their labor being captured, this prohibits them from exercising any leverage they may have. So to empower data producers, we need to first raise awareness of data capture. Making data legible is a necessity for action. For researchers, this means developing tools to equip data laborers with knowledge about their contribution to intention technologies, and potentially how to effectively leverage the data labor against tech companies. For those that are already on the right end of the spectrum, there are currently individual actions people are taking to purposefully affect what data about them is being captured, like using privacy-preserving plugins and deleting their content or accounts. For researchers, there are opportunities to broaden such participation and help data producers organize collective action to influence tech companies. Now, the next dimension I want to go into details about is how much data labor overlap with livelihood, or is data labor part of occupational activities? On the left end of the spectrum, we have data labor that has no overlap with one's livelihood, like providing implicit feedback to search engines' recommender systems. These type of actions are rarely associated with one's occupation. On the right end of the spectrum, we have activities that double as one's occupational responsibilities, like writing news articles. Now again, thinking about how to empower data producers along the spectrum, we should not ignore activities that do not overlap with one's livelihood. This type of data labor may create new professions as AI and other tech companies need more accurate, high-quality data. For example, quad work emerged from companies' needs for high-quality labels and datasets because their previous datasets are no longer sufficient for them. So researchers and activists may want to monitor emerging data labor opportunities that take non-traditional career forms and proactively identify opportunities to protect laborers' rights, such as fair wage and supportive working conditions. Now, for data labor that mapped onto the right side of the spectrum, with rising public awareness about the value of data, the time may be ripe for us to have a conversation about what should be the back pay from companies that benefit from data labor. This is particularly an urgent task in the domain in creative industries, given the emergence of generative AI art models. Our paper outlined the directions for researchers, organizers, and policymakers. But if you're more interested in direct actions, my co-author Nick Vincent and I have this wired op-ed highlighting some direct ways that individual data producers can take to gain control over their data output. Now, I want to wrap up this presentation with a provocation for the research community. On the right side we listed the major sources of massive web. The dataset has been used in multiple large language models. We see that academic publications, so papers that we all wrote about, score quite high on the board. So the question is, does the research community care about the reuse of its work, especially given the amount of inaccurate information that is being generated by chatbots? And if we do care about this reuse, and we see this as an issue, what can we do to mitigate the problem? Now, feel free to reach out with any questions. Thanks.